So in this video, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of Tuscaloosa versus Northport. And if you're watching this video, maybe you don't even know anything about Northport. That's totally fine too. We're going to jump into that and make sure you understand a little bit more about the Tuscaloosa area. I'm Phil Duke Jr. I'm a broker here, a real estate broker with eXp Realty. And, I'm in Northport. My office is in Northport. I live in Northport. And for those of you that don't know, Tuscaloosa is on one side of the river and Northport is on the other side of the river. For the most part, there are some areas on this side of the river that are annexed into the city of Tuscaloosa. We'll talk about that as well here. And both are great choices, and both have their pros and their cons. And so just wanted to make this video, and really one of the reasons why I created this channel was this kind of information is not out there on Zillow. It's not out there on realtor.com. This is the kind of stuff that if you go to those websites and you're shopping for bedrooms and baths and square footage, you can certainly get that. But most people want to know, like, what is it like to really live here? And maybe you're watching this video and you're thinking about moving to Tuscaloosa. You're thinking about relocating, taking a job here, buying a property here, for your student who may be going to school here now or in the future. And again, I just want to introduce myself. Before we get into it today, though, I do want to tell you a little story. I've got two boys of my own, and I've got two foster kids, and our kids have always played video games. I know some some parents are against their kids playing video games. Totally understand that argument, but my thoughts was that kids will probably have more technology as they get older, not less, and so I didn't want them to be behind by not being exposed to it. But my kids are really good at it, and they play these games and they make it look easy, and then they hand me the controller. They hand me the controller. Sorry, I dropped my notes. They hand me the controller, and like in 10 seconds, I'm dead. Right? I just didn't know the bad guy was going to pop up behind the bush. And at 10 years old and 6 years old, they're not smarter than me. At least not yet. They probably will be when they get a little bit older. But what they have done is they've played the game longer than I have. And so, so that's how I explain, what I do every day. I'm not smarter than you, right? You're probably smarter than me. But since 2006, I've been playing this real estate game all day, every day, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of reps at it, seen the good, seen the bad. And so if you're thinking about making a move, you're thinking about buying a property here, I would love to be your cheat code for the Tuscaloosa area, okay? I've just played the game. You don't have to. I don't expect you to understand it, at least understand this area the way that I do, and you don't have to. Let me be your cheat code. So a couple things. I have a couple notes written down here. Number one, when most people think of Tuscaloosa, they think of like the University of Alabama. They think of downtown Tuscaloosa, and that certainly is the case. But there's a lot more to Tuscaloosa than just that area, right? It's a fairly big area to cover, and it's going to be different from zip code to zip code, from this side of the street to that side of the street. And so Tuscaloosa certainly has, all the stuff that you do think of first in your mind. There's luxury condos, around the UA campus and around downtown Tuscaloosa. There are lofts where, there are like retail and restaurants on the bottom floor, and then the second floor, third floor, and above is condos, right? And those allow you to be able to maybe park your vehicle at a designated parking spot, or maybe not even need a vehicle, depending on how you operate, and just be able to walk to all the nightlife and the concerts and the Alabama football games and baseball and basketball and softball and everything else that comes with living in Tuscaloosa. We certainly do have that, but the vast majority of people that live in Tuscaloosa don't live that way. So, there's a ton of great neighborhoods in Tuscaloosa. There's a good mix of like older homes, maybe built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. in around Veterans Memorial Parkway, along Skyland Boulevard. If you were to go down 359, like the interstate that that comes into downtown Tuscaloosa, if you were to go south of town and kind of go that way, there's a whole community down there, around Hillcrest High School and Shelton State Community College. A lot of people don't know this. There's more than one, college or university here. We've got Shelton State Community College, and then to the west side of Tuscaloosa, we've got, Stillman. Stillman's a college that's been around for a long time, and it's there too. And the University of Alabama is not the only player in town. In fact, a lot of people that live here go to Stillman or they go to Shelton State for their first year or two, save some money, have a little bit smaller class sizes, and then they go to the University of Alabama for, their junior and senior year. So there's a lot more to Tuscaloosa than just what meets the eye, but you certainly have, for most areas of Tuscaloosa, a little bit easier access to everything that Tuscaloosa does have to offer. There's a lot more development on that side of town, a lot of new grocery stores, restaurants. Northport has its fair share as well, and certainly has come a long way in the last couple of years. But if those kind of things are important to you, it might make sense to live closer to those things. I kind of like living in Northport and being 15 or 20 minutes away and knowing that I can go access that stuff when I want to, but when I want a little bit slower, a little bit quieter, a little bit less traffic, I can stay on my side of town, right? I can stay on the Northport side of town, and you would almost not even know that like 100,000 extra people are in town for a football game. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, a lot of people that I've helped over the years, their thinking was, let me buy something here that I can use for myself. Like, I'm going to come to Alabama football games. I'm going to come, visit my student that's here. And when I'm not using it, I'll rent it out. I'll put it on Airbnb. Well, the short-term rental rules between Tuscaloosa and Northport are a lot different, depending on where you're at in Tuscaloosa. And I'll put a link below where you can pull up the maps and see for yourself. Depending on where you're at in Tuscaloosa, you're going to be limited to 30 to 45 days of short-term rentals in a calendar year. So, you could rent for every Alabama home game. You could get maybe one or both of the graduations, right? The December or the May graduation. You may not be able to pick up, Easter weekend and the Morgan Wallen concert like we had this year. There are restrictions, but generally, because of where it's located, most of those properties, even with those limited dates, bring in more money than properties in Northport would. But in Northport, there's no restrictions right now. If you could put it on Airbnb and rent it for 365 days of the year and just have one booking after the next, after the next, after the next, you can do that right now. I don't know how long that's going to be. I haven't heard any talks in my circles of people that I know that might be coming to an end. But right now, the downtown Northport area, right, the area that's closest to the river, the area that's closest to Tuscaloosa, has been a very popular place for people to buy properties and put them up as Airbnbs without having the restrictions that you have over in Tuscaloosa. Now, normally Northport does kind of follow what Tuscaloosa does, but on this particular issue, they have not up until this point. So if you're going to buy a property and rent it out when you're not using it, just know in Tuscaloosa, you're limited on how many days in the year you can do that. In Northport, not so much right now, at least not for right now. Number three, a lot of people would say Northport is more family friendly. I think that depends where, right? Like, are we comparing it to, to downtown Tuscaloosa? Is downtown Tuscaloosa, a luxury condo? Is that the best for a family with young kids? I don't know. You live your life how you want to, they're going to be further from schools generally there, unless you like go to one of the public schools here, American Christian Academy, North River Christian Academy, Tuscaloosa Christian, Tuscaloosa Academy. There are some public or some private schools that a lot of people send their kids to, and they're fairly affordable depending on, which one you pick. So, school zone may not matter to you depending on that. Northport, though, does have very competitive school zones. When my family moved to Northport in 1996, we didn't really know it at the time, but we were probably in one of the best or the best school zone at that time. And that school zone today, what's that? I mean, 28 years later, something like that, is still a premium school zone. You could still make the argument it's number one or number two for this area. So Northport has that going for it. Has a good system of elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools in the area. So a lot of us here that a lot of people that come here to go to school, they end up falling in love with the area. A lot of those people tend to buy homes and settle down in the Northport area. They like being close to Tuscaloosa, but they want to be in a really good school zone. They want to be surrounded by other families with young kids, so that the kids have friends to play with. Your stereotypical, suburban lifestyle. A bit bigger neighborhoods, a lot more people, more kids, to play with. You typically do get more of that in Northport, but there's certainly areas and neighborhoods and school zones in Tuscaloosa that are the exact same way. And some of them you can even get more house for the money, which brings me to my fourth point. The market does matter. Northport has been the hottest area in the Tuscaloosa County real estate market for several years now. Houses that hit the market in Northport typically sell for closer to what they were listed for. So one thing that I track is the list price to sales price ratio. When people put a house on the market, they can ask whatever they want. But, I like to see like how close are they getting to full price. And in Northport, for the most part, people tend to get pretty close. Again, on average, there's certainly exceptions to this, but properties in Northport typically sell, and they typically sell quicker, and they sell for closer to the list price than most of the properties do in Tuscaloosa. It's hyper local. It's not just, you can't just make a blanket statement like that. But overall, like if I've got a homeowner who owns a property in Northport that's in good shape, I feel very comfortable that I can put a marketing plan together to help them sell that house in Northport, just because it's in Northport, right? It's got a good school zone. It's competitive. There's a lot of people always wanting to move here. And so, the Northport area has been hot. There's also some areas in Tuscaloosa that are super hot too. But just in general, Northport is kind of the family-friendly side of town. It's kind of the people that love Alabama. I mean, I've got Alabama stuff all over my office here. The people that love the things that the University of Alabama has to offer, all the events and sporting stuff, and just everything that goes with it. I love that, but I also I love living with a little bit of distance between there. So, and then lastly, I mean, honestly, both or either is a good choice, right? It's not that much different. If you enjoy being down there close to everything, you've got it. If you want to be on the water somewhere, there's places where you can be on the water. If you want a condo and you want a HOA that takes care of the yard and the pool and everything, we got that. If you want, a property with some land, some acreage, you want to kind of be out in the country, kind of like I do. I live on a dirt road, and we're the only house on the dirt road. And we're surrounded by woods. And even though we only have a little bit of acreage, there's a lot of acreage around us that is that has not been developed. There's no houses on it. That's how we like to live, right? So there's something for everybody inside Tuscaloosa. You really can't go wrong. But I would encourage you, think about what's really important to you. What do you want to be close to? To me, I want to be close to my gym. There's a lot of good gyms in this area. I want to be close to some restaurants, close to some shopping. I want to be close to my kids' schools. I want to be close to my office. To me, that's important, that I can just run down here. I can be here in like 5 minutes from my house. I can come down here and work. I can run back and forth, take kids back and forth. To me, that's what's important for me. And I would recommend to you, just get crystal clear on what it is that you want. click my calendar, set up a call, scan the QR code. I would love to be your cheat code in the Tuscaloosa area.